A pickup squad beat multiple pro teams in the Cloud9 Pro AM 5K tournament. We gotta talk about it. What's up, guys? This is Why Not Be Reckless, aka Why Not Be Casting. I'm one of the HCS commentators, and we have another HCS report where today we're going to be talking about the Cloud9 Pro AM and talk about all the crazy upsets that happened during it. Before we actually get to the actual bracket itself, I'm going to quickly go over some of the teams that we're going to be watching out for during the tournament so you know who was signed up, who wasn't, and what made things so crazy. So number one, obviously Cloud9, Triton, Nemesis, Rami, and Septify coming off a recent top 6 finish. Haven't exactly had the last 2 placements that they wanted to, but it was also their home tournament and they actually did really good. Next up is going to be G1, Husk, Precision, Swish, recently bringing in Bohm after Suspector hopped shift and went over to Native White. G1 also had a pretty good tournament, but again, we're going to talk about that later. Luminosity, one of the two top professional Latin American teams, and we are definitely going to be talking about them. They did amazing and going to be exciting when it comes to land time. Shopify, Rebellion, Ryanoob, Rain, Cycle, and Mental coming in. Also talk about Fly, Sylvanic, Kratos, Facti, and Necessity. Not going to talk too much about them. They didn't exactly have the placement that they wanted, but it wasn't too bad in my opinion. Again, we'll talk about it. Sentinels, who probably were the favorites coming into this tournament. Spartan, Boo Boo Dubu, Falcated, and Lethal. I would say at all of the teams that were signed up, I would say most people probably had Sentinels winning this tournament, and rightfully so. Complexity, Tusk, Gilkey, Carbea, and King Nick. We're going to scroll down a little bit. Flyer, Super CC, Arctic, Breaking Shot, Immortally. Definitely a team we're going to be watching out for it during the bracket play. Native Gold. This is where things get a little bit weird. Manny and Talik signing up with Furiously and JK as their fourth. You would think after seeing this team, there's no way that Soul Snipe and Suppress signed up for this tournament. If so, they would have probably signed up under Native Red, right? Right? Finally, we're going to be talking about Fung 4. Soul Snipe, Druck, who previously was under Native Red, recently had to be let go due to visa issues. Renegade, FaZe's main Slayer, and Suppressed, who's Native Red's newest pickup. This was the Fung 4, a pickup squad that seemingly came out of nowhere, but easily were a dark horse team to potentially win the tournament, and yeah, things got crazy. So we're going to quickly talk about the bracket itself. Sentinels having a bye in round 2, going all the way to round 4 before being tested by that same Flyers roster, captained by Super CC. Really interesting stuff coming from Flyers. They even beat out Cloud9, but Cloud9 had an interesting run as well to make it into the winners bracket finals, did Sentinels. Cloud9 also beating out Native Gold. That was really surprising there. Native Gold, obviously a very good team featuring both Talik and Manny of Native. No such thing as Native Gold because there's only Native White and Native Red, but I kind of like Gold. I'm not going to lie. Maybe we need to have a rebrand somewhere there. Cloud9 did 2-1 them, which I would consider a bit of an upset there. Although, again, that was a pickup team. Cloud9 are an actual team itself, so good for them to make it that far, but Sentinels eventually 2-0ing them. G1 going on a nice little run, even able to 2-1 Luminosity. By the way, Luminosity, the same team that G1 2-1, they 2-0'd upset Shopify Rebellion. How crazy is that? Luminosity coming out on top against Shopify Rebellion, who seemingly have been starting to get into a groove, especially over the last LAN, and we're really looking out for them going into Worlds. Luminosity, huge win against them. Didn't exactly go their way against G1. Eventually, by the way, I don't know what happened here. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Now, no clue. Literally no clue. But Bittersweet 2-1 Complexity. New bittersweet roster, but we've seen this team before. Actually, Lurski, I believe at one point was playing with Maysky and his brother Schlegs under Cincinnati at one point. Lurski coming in, making up this roster, 2-1ing complexity. How crazy is that? God, best of threes are literally insane. Fung 4 were able to 2-0 bittersweet after also 2-0 Kylie MF Jenner as well. Fung 4 making it deep, also able to 2-0 G1 again, fresh off of beating the same Luminosity that beat Shopify Rebellion, eventually into the winners bracket finals where the Fung 4, a pickup squad, not 2-0, 3-0, because we did get some best of fives in the winners bracket finals, 3-0ing Sentinels in that winners bracket finals, sending Sentinels down to the elimination bracket. Fung 4 guaranteed top 2 in the tournament and having an advantage going into the grand finals. We're going to fast forward through the lower bracket just a little bit where Luminosity did beat out that Lies roster. However, it was Alpha Esports that ended up beating out Luminosity in a 2-0 fashion. The two Latin American juggernauts matching up with each other to try to make it into top 6. And of course, it was Alpha Esports that make it through. Eventually, that same Alpha Esports roster, something interesting happened here. One of their players wasn't able to make it to the tournament or to make it to this final round, which was Strikey. They ended up having to pick up Magico as a fourth. Magico, from what I understand, top talent. We've been seeing him for quite some time. I've actually played a little bit back in Halo 5, but from what I understand, he's been having a bit of visa issues trying to get over to LAN, so he hasn't been able to be on one of these top Latin American teams recently, at least when it comes to going to LAN time. But he did fill in for Strikey, and they literally 2-1 Cloud9, but this was during a tournament that was happening in Latin America where Magico was also competing in. So Magico comes in, fills in for Strikey, 2-1s Cloud9 in the upset, then doesn't even show up to face G1. The team forfeits. He goes and plays in that tournament, and I heard he won that Latin American tournament. Actually crazy. Fills in for one round, pulls off the upset, and then just dips like Batman in the night. I don't even know what was up with that, but really sucks for Cloud9 because Cloud9 could have the opportunity to maybe play against G1. Meanwhile, Alpha Esports played them, won, and then dipped out of the tournament. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, we did see another upset, actually back-to-back upsets, where we seen that same Flyers roster. Remember, Super CC and the boys, they actually come out with a 2-1 over Complexity. Big for Flyers, and they weren't done yet because that same Flyers roster 2-1 Shopify Rebellion literally right afterwards and took G1 to a game 3 and almost pulled off the trifecta of upsets. Did Flyers. Eventually G1, they put an end to all that. As we said before, Alpha Esports didn't compete against G1 and ended up forfeiting this matchup, so G1 advanced forward into the elimination bracket finals. We saw them take Sentinels to a game 5, but Sentinels still clutched it out. If I remember right, I believe it was Sentinels that started off 2-0. G1 then won the next two, which, by the way, that game 2 Slayer that Sentinels won, it was a 50-49 game where G1 had the advantage going into the 48th kill. They had the lead going into the 48th kill and sadly weren't able to get over the hump in that game 2. One could argue they should have won that game 2, then they ended up winning game 3 and game 4. Series should have been over, but eventually Sentinels beat them out in that game number 5 to stop the reverse sweep and to make it back into the grand finals. Lastly, in that grand finals, I would love to say it was more interesting than the winners bracket finals, at least as far as score wise, but honestly, really wasn't. Fung 4 3-0'd Sentinels in the winners bracket finals. They also 3-0'd in the grand finals. But what made this grand finals so much fun is that both teams were like amazing boxers or MMA fighters that once in a while just drop the gloves, just meet up into the middle and decide to throw haymakers. That's what it felt like. Fung 4, every time they played, they were flying at you at every given moment, trying to throw off your flow, trying to throw off your rhythm. And Sentinels, instead of trying to counter that in the grand finals, it almost seemed like they tried to match that energy. They were flying too, which made for such a fun matchup to watch. Eventually, Fung 4 did 6-0 the Sentinels roster between the winners bracket finals and the grand finals, but I would say This was the most entertaining 3-0 I have ever seen, especially here in Halo Infinite. Well, guys, that was it. That was your 5K Pro AM hosted by Cloud9. Really interesting stuff, and we know they're going to be probably doing some more stuff in the future, is Cloud9, but congratulations to the Fung 4. Soul Snipe and Druk reunited, and it feels so good. Suppressed and the Renegade end up coming out with the big win. Guys, like this kind of content, you already know what to do. Let me know in the comments down below. Like and subscribe. Interact with the video in some way, shape, or form. The more you interact with the video, the more YouTube pushes out to more people that might enjoy this type of content, and I get rich. Don't you want to make me rich? Come on now. Press the button. No, when I end the video, press the button. I'm not ending the video until you click that like button right now. Finally, thank you. All right, peace out.